our thoughts. And Dave's not here, as we know. He's in Spain, and I don't think he's doing astronomy. I think he's probably
I think
relaxing.
he's just taking a vacation.
I think he's just taking a vacation. He gets around, between Colombia and Spain.
He's a traveler.
He is a traveler.
I sent a question to him that he responded to right away.
He said he would be, he'd be near his
If it's like, if you send a question about science, you'll get a response. And
and nothing else. Okay.
he's that type.
We were just starting to talk at the beginning about Russ and Firo and how it's, or do you pronounce it Firo or Firo? Firo? Firo. And it's moving along for first light in September, right?
Right.
Yeah, cool. And I was just saying that the SRO scope is now operational for exoplanets. We haven't run it yet. We haven't put Nina on it yet, but last night it finally fell into shape. So, and we've only got one workable filter on it, but it's an R, Sloan R. It'll work fine for now for exoplanets until we get the instrument selector and the new filter wheel and new filters and the new focuser and all that on. Everything from the OTA backward is going to change just about. So, I'm sorry about that. And last night, Scott and I played with Nina on Bassro, and it looks like it's working with one thing that I sent to Leon, who responded this morning, Scott, that unable to connect to make the home function work. Leon, you said there's an obvious fix to that.
Could you repeat that? My connection is really poor. I don't know why.
That problem we were having with Nina, where it doesn't recognize the home function, find home, and it's with PWI4. We have to put the PWI4 plug-in in. Is that correct? He's not getting me. I'm sorry. Anyway, we'll deal with it.
You have to. I'm not sure if the plugin has a home function. I asked if you have the PWI4 plugin because it does add a lot of support for plane wave.
We are able to control the mount.
Everything else
without the plugin.
Yeah, everything else works except that. So so maybe we just put the plugin.
Why did you have to home? Because normally you would park, right?
Well, it parks, but we're in the habit of homing it to get it registered for its location. And you don't bother with homing, is that correct?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's interesting. All right.
We'll try it out and see how well it points without using the home function.
Well, you should only have to home it once, or if it loses its position.
Yeah.
But homing isn't really a regular thing. It could be that PWI4 purposefully blocks a home command from being sent, because that's something you should only ever have to manually do in the software, and other software shouldn't really touch.
We do it routinely with the PWI4 running it more manually. And clearly you have to do it every time you repower, but and which arguably some people feel you should repower every night. You should turn off the power every morning. I don't know. I think PWI3 should be turned off probably. Anyhow, that's details that where do we want to take it today? Are we well along on getting targets in for this week's run?
Last night was clouded out, so we're hoping for tonight. So if you send me a target list, it's not too late, but we'll load it up tonight, and hopefully we won't have clouds.
Okay. Are you still accepting new targets?
Yes, I am. Okay. As long as you get them into the folder before probably like 6 p.m. Pacific, they should be able to get loaded up.
On any night?
on any night. Earlier is better, but by
Yeah.
that's when I usually check the folder and upload stuff.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have a general question about filters again. The CCD filter set, the LRGB. I think there's one of those on both the 24 and the 1 meter. Is that right? And is the L filter, does it span the other filters, or is it a clear that lets in everything?
It's a L filter, so UV and IR cutoff.
Okay, so it just cuts off at the end of red and the end of blue. Okay. I was wondering, because it finally dawned on me, maybe that would be a good filter to try for really, really faint targets. Just let everything in. I know if you have too wide a wavelength band, then you tend to blur the speckles, and it really doesn't give much advantage. But like a 400 meter or 400 nanometer bandwidth might be better than 800 or 900.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something Pat mentioned for exoplanets as well. It's the
Yeah,
exact same thing. If you want the maximum number of signal without, well, you don't really care about blurring there, but about the same thing which causes it, you can cut off the UV light and let the rest in. Yeah.
When you're
So
starved for
that would be a good filter to have for a speckle.
yeah, it's
blue
worth it.
cutoff.
It's worth experimenting with for sure.
What, you're speaking of the L filter?
Yeah, the L filter.
Yeah, I don't know. Has anyone tried speckle with L? Russ, have you?
No, negative.
Oh, okay.
I tried it on the 22-inch with an L filter, but that was only a UV cutoff filter, so it let in all the IR light, and it was kind of blurry.
Okay.
Not very good. The CCDL filter should work better because it cuts off all the infrared stuff.
Okay.
Could I show one of the two target lists that I submitted?
You
and see if
you
Nick has any questions and so
sure
forth.
can. You've got the power of the screen.
Okay, let's see. There we go. So I have I'll look at the CSV file. So these are two target lists for the known binaries project. One is for the 1 meter and one's for the 24. So here's the target list. And so the user one is one of the students, it's Sam, and it's the 1 meter, and it's for the known binary. So that's just kind of identify the user. And there were too many targets to do on one night, so we broke it into 3 groups. And so this is group 1. And Sloanar, is this the right name for the filter, Rick? Nick?
Actually, there has to be a space in between the Sloan and the R.
Oh, okay, good. Okay,
Yeah, that's it. I loaded it up, and it said there were, I think there were 2 targets too close to the moon.
okay, that's all right. When we run it some other night, it'll be all right. Okay. And 500 exposures and the exposure time. And I did the RA and DEC in the decimal because the spreadsheet has just terrible problems when you have it in Excel with the hours, minutes, seconds. So is that all right? Will it recognize that okay?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I put in the WDS name and the DD, and then all these other things were off the Mark Drummond's orbital catalog, master catalog that he just pasted straight in. And so, okay, so I'll do the Sloan, add a dash there. And then on the, for the 24 inch, I just have an R in there. Is that correct? For the filter?
Leon, do you know?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so that'll be good. And I had a possible thing we might consider. Let me just show you what it looks like on the
What is GRP? What is that?
oh, that was group. So
Yeah,
I split the observations into 3 groups just to have it on different nights, so we didn't have too many on one night.
okay. But
And-
it's, the plugin's only going to recognize the columns that it recognizes, and the rest will just be discarded, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they won't be acted on, but we'll get it. I presume we get them back.
Do you get that?
I think, well, in the latest version, I just save a progress for all the targets, and it will be based on yeah, what I use in the list. So I guess we could match it with the current list, and then just add what it's done for them. I don't save this list with extra information or so at the moment. I could maybe add that sometime.
That would be very handy. We found that the Fairborn Observatory, that it's really good to pass through the information. So the observer requests something and then has, the required information, but it has other information that they want to keep track of. If you can pass it through when you send the observations back, then it allows them to match it up. Otherwise, they have to go in manually and say, okay, was this group 1, 2, or 3? Was this or that? And yeah, it's just, it gets to be a real mess. So we just made a rule that we always pass back the information that was on the request, then added in the observational results information.
But I'll have to have a look how that would work.
Yeah, how would you include all that stuff in the name of a folder? That's kind of a mess.
No, that wouldn't be handy. No, I'll have a look if I can just save the whole. Yeah, save everything within the file and just create a new file with extra information.
Yeah, just a text
something
file,
like that.
just a text file or something like that. That would be.
Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have to think about that. We could do that.
Nick, are you importing that as a JSON object in your plugin?
Yeah, I changed that again because it wasn't very useful, I thought, because it saved it per target. So what I'm doing now is save a CSV file with what it's done throughout the night. So then you can see which targets it has done, which have completed, how many cycles it has done, and things like that.
Okay, good, thanks.
A couple other minor suggestions that we might consider. One is to make the titles for exposures and exposure times shorter, so they don't use up column space, just abbreviate them. And then it might be, I don't know, it might not work with Nina, but if the exposure time was in milliseconds, well, that would be handier for speckle than have to always put in all these decimal places.
All right. Yeah, I could do that, but I can just load it into seconds within the plugin.
Yeah, that would,
it doesn't matter.
that would be handy for us users, just to put a exposure
Sure.
time in milliseconds.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it. I'll change and add that space in the Sloan-R.
Speaking of the exposure time, my week was very full, so I haven't run any ASD simulations yet. As you may have also noticed from how many emails I've responded to, none. Yeah, but I read them. Just it's bus lectures and bus tours to the next lecture and more bus. It's terrible at the moment. But I'm hoping to test exposure times while we have the telescope. So early next week, and we can then compare basically. Right now, you've all entered manual exposure times, and then the same targets will be observed with the calculated ones, and then we can do a direct comparison in the SNR. Well, of course, I'll also be alternating exposure times just to test on single target.
Yeah, I'm trying to vary the exposure time on a small number of targets to see what the effect is as well. Just over a range from 10 milliseconds or so out to 160 milliseconds.
Yeah.
So another question is, when should we switch target lists? So all these targets are going to be observed several times, and how often, how many nights should we let the telescopes observe these before new ones get put in?
I thought when was that? You were talking about updating every day. Each observer would look at what they got back and then resubmit their list for that.
I think that's the plan. Yeah, I think that's the plan as of now.
Okay, so the expectation is you're gonna pick up new list every day. Okay.
Yep, and make sure those go into the Google Drive so we can upload them onto the telescope.
Okay.
Is it realistic to think that the processing will be done every night? Because last time I know it was delayed and there was a big backlog, but still it took quite a few days to crunch everything.
Yeah, Leon, did we work out the issue with the Dropbox?
Yeah, so the images will start processing as soon as the telescope is finished. Not automatically, I will manually start processing them. And then it typically takes between 4 to 12 hours, and the bispectrum files go into the Dropbox as they are processed. Yeah.
Okay, then we may not know in time to turn it around every day. If it takes up to 12 hours before we would know what was observed, right?
That's still all right. You could resubmit the same target list for the next night, or if you didn't want to get targets, any more observations, let other people make them, you could just not submit it until you got a chance to look at it.
That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we just stay with the daily submission. Okay, whether you know better.
I can send the list around with what has been observed and the cycles it's done. So the completed cycles and targets. I could send that out, and then you can check that out and see how many targets you're going to expect to come in.
So, Nick, if we observe the same target on the same telescope on a couple different nights, will it automatically increase the cycles, or do we need to kind of keep track of that?
Well, you can actually, if you have a list, in the list you have the column nights, and you could tell it to observe 2 or 3 nights, and then we can load the same list in, and then the cycles is per night. So if you want 2 cycles on 3 nights, it'll do try to do 2 cycles every night.
I didn't, in Russ's list, I didn't see anything about night. Is there a new field for that?
No,
Yeah, it was kind of always there, but I hid it. So
okay.
I didn't include it because if we're putting in a new target list every night, I didn't know if that was going to work, that or the cycle.
Yeah,
it makes sense. And Russ's list doesn't have cycles in it. Does that just presume if there's no field for cycle, it's just going to be 1?
Yeah, we'll just default to 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I should maybe put in, I'd like to actually have cycles. I kind of presume that when it goes through one observation, that it wouldn't necessarily, it's going to then check and see if what's closest to the meridian. So it's now going to be off from the meridian. So it might, but I'll add cycles and nights and just see what happens.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that'd be great if Nick, if you could send around a summary of the targets that have been observed, then we can delete those from our current list and resubmit it. And if we don't
Yeah.
want any more, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
and then it's we need to check the data as well, because last time you found something that it wasn't pointing correctly.
Yeah, but
Well,
still,
things like
that's
that
gonna-
we need to check.
that'll be worked out soon anyway, if it isn't already. And then we can always resubmit those targets in the new list anyway, another day.
Right. Yeah, but not if you don't get the results until 2 or 3 weeks ago later.
Is there a, maybe you know, Sophia, is there just a Google Drive that has this sort of framework of instructions, you know, like,
Here, let me send this folder. This is where we're just having all the target lists submitted. So we're doing, we'll make it simpler eventually, but right now we're doing target list to Google Drive and then data from Dropbox.
but I mean, the things about, you know, what fields to have in your target list.
We don't have that quite yet, but we can work on getting that up.
Yeah, it seemed like we need just the bare bones documentation, but, you know,
Template.
things that we talked about right now would be helpful.
Nick sent that email, I think yesterday, that summarized all the columns that are used for something, and the ones that are essential and the ones that are optional. That was really helpful.
Yeah,
summary of
yes,
that.
yes, that
Yeah.
yeah, that was very helpful. Yeah. Okay.
Sophia, do you have a folder out there for a documentation that would be a good place to put all
It
this
might
stuff?
make sense just to put it in the target list folder. We can just make
I-
a folder within that that's just documentation.
Okay.
Yeah, things like Nick's email and so forth would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me share that. Let me send the link in the chat right now.
Maybe the filter definition names,
That would help, yeah.
just have them all in one central place. That would be good.
Yeah, we can put all that information in where it says in the folder called documentation within the target list folder.
Super. That would be really helpful.
And you would prefer to have those, our target lists uploaded to the Google Drive rather than sending you an email. Is that right? Or-
Yeah, Google Drive, because it's just all one centralized place and easier to deal with.
Yeah. And when you receive a target list, you just leave it in the box for that date, or?
Yeah, for that date, so we can go
You don't-
back and check what was
Okay.
what was the initial target list.
You don't take them out once they've been entered in the master list for the night?
Eventually, maybe, but as of now, no.
Not now. Okay.
Is this where it'll be? I remember there was an email, and sorry if I'm remembering the wrong one, but something about including the delta mag photometry in speckle output, or is this more for the input?
That's output. Yeah.
That's output. Okay, so this is for the input, but part of the output is delta mag now, or in bispectrum reduction. Is that something that comes out from Speckle Toolbox?
Yes.
Delta
No.
magnitude does come from Speckle Toolbox.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had, because I made a particular note of that because somebody said they want that as part of Speckle papers now,
Well,
right?
I
Am I,
suggested that we use it because it's right there, right next to the position angle on the separation. And
I mean, didn't Brian Mason say like they were now gonna actually expect it or want it, or?
He said it was very
Okay, I
desirable.
might be misremembering.
No, you're right. He said it.
He did. Oh, he
said
did.
it was
Okay,
desirable.
yeah.
Yeah, it was not required, but it was highly desirable. Is my
Gotcha.
recollection.
Okay. Because I wrote it down as like, gotta remember to do this from now on.
We've been
Does
doing it
he
with-
want?
yeah.
Does he want that for normal double star papers or just for speckle?
We've been doing it since it's offered there in AIJ. It seemed like it seemed silly not to record that. And the magnitudes in the WDS are so unreliable. Maybe someday this will be useful.
Yeah, well, right. So what filter do you usually use for double stars?
Oh, the students choose the one that gets the best images.
I see.
Some cases, and one team right now is using 3 different filters, and they're going to report the delta mags on each one of those as well.
Oh, okay. So I'm just trying to think about how to make sure, like how there was a format that he said, or Nick, you might have said there's a particular format that's useful to send with your paper to someone to get it uploaded faster, or there was something about that, and I wanted to be thoughtful about incorporating that into like sort of all projects for students, etc. And did that have delta mag and filter in it? Do you remember?
I forget if that was in there. But,
okay, let me see if I can dig up that email and I'll find it exactly.
Yeah, I think it was just the basic list, which was in the catalog, the WDS catalog, just all the fields in there.
Brian Mason mentioned something in his email about the right way to quickly get that uploaded, and once it's on a document, once it's in a paper.
Yeah, it struck
That's
me
what
that
I
we need to
was
design
looking
something.
for.
Yeah. It seemed we need to design a file format for that, because his email is sort of general, it doesn't specify.
Yeah, he sent me the file and I sent it through to you in the email I sent.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's a basic text file with I think it's all the columns with certain spaces in between or something. Really basic.
Could you send that again, Nick?
Yeah, please.
I'm trying to dig it up. Yeah, I know I saw it.
Yeah.
I was working on that email in that format and was trying to put together sort of a summary of that, but including the magnitudes and they like, if you give them a delta magnitude, then they want to know the center wavelength and the full width half max of the filter. So all those things kind of add complication, but
That's what it was. I think I might have just found it and I'm going
just
to
haven't.
email it to everyone here.
Yeah, I haven't finished playing with that yet.
Yeah, that'd be very helpful, Rick.
That would be very helpful. Yeah.
And then store that on the document drive there.
Yeah, good call. All right, I'm just making sure I have everybody here. 8. Let's see, got it. Okay. There we go. And then I'm going to print this out and the text file and stick it into that drive that Sophia linked.
Super. That's perfect.
That was the right one, right?
Have a look. Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah.
So Pat, when you get your CDK 17 east of San Diego going there on the Nina Speckle, could we start a northern known binaries program?
Absolutely. That's the whole goal here. Of course, we have a ZWO 1600, so it's a different, have to keep that in mind, but absolutely, that's the goal.
Yeah, and it'll help evaluate the precision and accuracy and all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah. Like I was saying before, I don't know when the SRO is going to be speckle capable. It's I know that there's a lot of, I know Eric is trying hard. They're very interested in Plane Wave to make that work. So we're getting lots of support. But this is good. Getting some of this documentation, putting in that Google Drive will help, because I'm chasing emails right now and I'm trying to do the same thing, but I'm not sure I'm getting everyone. So we have the things sorted out now, so we can start dumping things into Sophia's folder and see what happens. Okay, cool. And if there's anything more, I just mentioned on Mount Wilson, I think we've sort of resolved all the loose ends on that I'm aware of, anything big. I finally, as of yesterday, got my invitee list settled down, so it's I'll share that. I'm trying to document that and share it. And Tom, I didn't think of it. I'm going to send you an email that I sent around to sort of give the first 2-day overview that might help you, the question you're asking. It's not the detail, but I think it answers some of your questions.
Appreciate it.
Did you already confirm tour times, or does that still need to happen?
I'm thinking I've got one more go with Tom on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming you're handling Monday, and I'm going to have another email to Tom, right?
Oh, okay. I
I
can. Yeah, I just didn't want to conflict if you had already checked with him. So
that's good.
Do you want me to send
I'm thinking you're
email?
handling any things that you've got on Monday.
I'll confirm that.
Confirm that, and I'm going to work the Tuesday confirmation. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm going to send an email to Tom later today then, and I'll copy you.
Okay.
And that way you'll know like what has been confirmed and not. He's still sick, right?
I don't know.
I think somebody said he was ill, so we might not have prompt responses.
Okay.
I just checked the weather down in Chile, and I checked it a couple hours ago. The observatory is quite clear. A few hours ago, it's quite clear now. It looks good for tonight.
Great.
Are you running the 1 meter as well as the 24-inch tonight?
Yeah, both at the same time. So my weather report, which is untrustworthy typically in the desert, says that it's supposed to cloud up as soon as the night starts.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll be awake either way to check.
That's an interesting thing. I bet we all use different weather systems. What one do you think is most reliable for down there? And if you have a link for it, it'd be nice to know what it is.
I'm not really sure. So far, none of them have really been reliable. It
None of
seems
them reliable.
Well, how far is the
well,
observatory?
the most reliable one is looking at the live weather at Obstac.
That's what I've been looking at.
Yeah, how far away is the site from some of the larger observatories? SWORD, Gemini South, CTIO.
Good question. Not too far, since they share a fiber cable.
Yeah, I mean, like CTIO has Doppler radar and everything set up right there too, so it's really pretty accurate.
Which one is that?
Certalolo.
On which service? Or there's
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't been down there or worked that for a couple of years now.
Okay. Well, we can check, at least check that.
Rush, you remember that weather station set up with Chris Corbley down there on the Vatican?
Yes.
He didn't even take the thermometer out of the box. It's still leaning up against the wall.
Oh my. Yeah. I remember we were watching humidity pretty closely.
Yeah, we had a big storm that night. Anyway.
Humidity in that desert?
Yeah.
Really?
We were worrying, we need to shut down. If we screw up their 1.5 meter mirror, they're never going to invite us back.
And we did. Chris and I shut it down and started it up one morning.
Wow. That's supposed to be the driest place in the world, isn't it? Maybe the Antarctica, I don't know. Hey, Russ, if I've mentioned a couple times on that Wednesday at Mount Wilson, would you be able to talk to the crew I've got about the automation
Oh,
program?
absolutely.
I'd love that. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
love to do it.
Because that's that crew, the aim is to create a bunch of team leaders to start doing speckle, automated speckle.
Yay, way to go, Pat. Yeah.
We've got everyone is doing that, committed to doing research following this. So that was the ticket they needed.
Yeah, and one thing I think is really going to be exciting is when DR3 comes out, supposedly sometime in June, it's going to open up a whole bunch of programs for us. We're barely ready in time, but it's going to be wonderful.
That all my code's gonna break, but that's okay.
We'll have to talk Dave into downloading that and making a new version of GDS.
Oh, boy.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
We just have, I feel like we need to get Nick and Leon to Mount Wilson somehow. I wonder if we could talk about that in our next InStar, if we, are you guys even available?
Yeah, if you had a plane ticket, if we supplied the plane ticket, do you think you could make it to Mount Wilson?
It depends on if I have my children or not. So, yeah, so it would depend on when, kind of. So
June 13th. Well, June
13th
June.
through 16th, I think we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13th to 16th. Yeah.
I'll need to see if I can do anything about that, but I may not be able to, but I'll see.
Oh, speaking of that, is that going to be during a time when the we're going to have access to the telescopes too? Is that going to be going at the same time?
It should be at the same
Yes,
time.
it will be. Yes, it's right in the midst of a full moon. Right. Interesting.
Busy.
Well, I mean, actually, okay, this might be too much, so feel free to cut me off, but wouldn't it be cool to get the same targets? Like have two observations of the same targets from different telescopes and compare the data from those. I mean, that would add a kind of extra dimension of coolness to the
Yeah, we could
to
do
the observation.
a couple of known binaries, maybe the fainter, closer ones, and then compare it on the 24, the 1 meter,
Yeah.
and the 1.5 meter, the 60-inch. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Clay. It wouldn't take much to do it.
That might be cool. Okay, I'm gonna write that down on my list of things to think about. Give the students more to do than reduces from one telescope. The student reduces from the telescope, and they compare results, and maybe then switch and see. Yeah, kinds of
They probably
accuracy
need to
and
be
precision
around
and
deck
all these
zero.
things.
Yeah, has to be about 0. And maybe we can complicate it further just to calibrate Barrow and do the same at the same time with Barrow.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Wow, all kinds of stuff can happen here.
We better hope they all get the same answer or pretty close.
Well, that's what that's like the reason for the minute,
Reason to do
right?
it.
Like then you can constrain kind of the
The uncertainty.
precision in a way that exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the good reasons of observing known binaries is if they're grade 1 or 2 or even 3, if they're really well-known orbits, you know what the answer is. So you can evaluate both precision and accuracy, and getting it from multiple telescopes and actually different hemispheres. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, well, you think you know what the answer is, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember Huygens' paper from forever ago? You could have very different orbital parameters with the same observed curve, right? So
Yes,
it, I
and
mean,
I should
you
say,
do, I know your point, though. You do know, like, you could tell if something's far off trend, but yeah.
yeah, there's going to be an error in the sixth orbit ephemerides. So they make predictions, but so whatever it gets down to, then it's either because we don't know or it's the measurement error.
It would be interesting to see the same bispectrum images with different, the same separation and position angle, but different size airy discs.
Yeah, yeah. What is the camera we use on the Mount Wilson? What is that you bring, Rick? Which,
The ZWO 6200, it's
Oh,
the same chip that's in the QHY 600.
okay, yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, for Barrow, it has to be a wider, brighter target, obviously. So maybe if we do one that really stresses the resolution for those other scopes, and then maybe one that's more friendly for Barrow.
Well, 1 arc second's a pretty nice.
Oh, that
medium.
1 arc second to be fine. Yeah, that'd be
Easy
fine.
for everybody.
Yeah, Clay, maybe you can launch a little project, and maybe besides the night that you have with your students, we could pick up a few more on other nights, and anyway, to put some eager beavers to work on that. That would be great.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I know one of them, Ella, has done some speckle already. So they're sort of primed for this. Ella was the one who did the HIP 65 one, but that was never, like, we couldn't get the calibration to be able to see the target, but is very primed to work on speckle toolbox. So I think having multiple targets that have calibration would particularly thrill Ella. And then the others haven't done speckle yet. So counting on Sophia and Ella to help them out.
Yeah. Some of ours have done speckle, but not to the level of Sophia, not that experienced. Hopefully they're going to know.
You are.
What's that?
Very few are at that level.
Hardly anybody is. So I'm hoping, Sophia, that you'll be able to show some of our people how to do that as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's the plan. That's why I'll be there all 4 days.
Okay. And your dad is what's your dad gonna do?
He's gonna help out with whatever and hang out. I don't know. I think he's gonna bring a book, maybe. He'll have fun. He'll ask plenty of questions and help out with whatever needs help.
Sophia, could we even get him to pick up food on the 13th? Because the people are the restaurant's very confused by my desire to pick up the food at noon on the way up the mountain. So if he will have a car and doesn't mind driving down at 5:30, they were like, but it won't be hot. And I was like, but we'll heat it up. And like, we can't get away.
Yeah, I think we have to work out. We should probably rent a car anyway because we'll be there for a while. But I'll talk to him and figure that out. But that
Okay.
should work. If you could send me a message just so I can like show him like this is the information, then yeah. But he'll be around to help with
will
whatever.
Forward it to you right now. They just still haven't gotten back to me about it. I just checked on it again this morning and was like, but I'll forward it anyway.
Perfect.
Cool.
Well, we got anything else for today? It just sounds like we all have to go get our target list into Sophia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that suggestion, Nick, of sending around what was completed would be handy if it's possible to do that. Yeah. That would-
Yeah, hopefully it'll take yeah, just about every target, but I'll see how it goes. And we're also hoping to test plates of 3 to see if that's how well that's working. And then if that's working fine, then we can see if we can install the Barlow.
Oh, yay. I'm looking for that Barlow.
That would be great, but I really wanted to test plates of 3 because if it doesn't work, Dave can't fix it, and then we can get back to A-step using A-step, but not with the Barlow. That won't work. So,
Does anybody know if the field rotator is fixed so that it'll hold orientation yet?
It's supposed to be fixed.
Okay, great.
What with the Barlow, what's the field of view for the 1 meter? How small is it? You don't know?
I knew this last week, but I'd have to look it up again. I don't know when.
I knew, but I forgot.
Let me just,
Is it 5 by 3 minutes? It might be that.
ooh, that's small.
that is really small. Ooh, yeah.
Dave says it should work over 90% of the sky if we get it's all 3 in the Gaia database in there.
That's with 5.3 minutes, 5 by 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Wow.
but going down to 18th magnitude. So we got to
Yeah.
have exposures that
Right.
are long enough.
Yeah, longer.
Well, if that's the case, then it with Vero is
Should work fine.
should work fine. It's 6 by 8.
Yeah,
Yeah. It should.
As long as the field rotator is working properly, we don't need a plate solve for every field for calibration. It's nice to have for centering, but it's not essential for that every target has to have its own plate solve. I don't think the pointing is pretty good. Although, I guess, Nick, it needs to be centered so that it'll pick the right ROI in the right place, right?
Well, currently we're plate solving to get the right ROI image.
Yeah.
But if it's centering really well, then we don't we don't have to do that. If we know where the star is going to be after a slew and center, or no, just a slew, then that would be fine. Then we don't have to calculate the ROI position. That should work faster as well.
Does the plugin give that option? I mean, or
you can set it to a certain setting. Just say, well, the ROI is going to be here,
okay,
and then use that. But you have to take an image and check it first,
yeah,
to see which star it is, and then you can set the ROI to that coordinate.
so you can do it either way.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's very nice. That's very.
So it should work, hopefully.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Well, you all see that link I dropped in the chat there for astrophysics? Can I show you real quick?
Oh, yeah. I think you can. Yeah.
it's an interesting nap, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Hey, I corrected it.
Whoa.
Can you see the smoke there?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the smoke overlay, and it shows you exactly where all the issues are.
Where it's coming from, huh?
Wow.
Where are you located on that?
Right, see, can you see my cursor?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm right there.
wow. Wow, that's
I'll
serious.
stop sharing.
Where is that smoke coming from?
Well, a lot of it's coming from Mexico, but most of what you see in our area is all coming up by Taos, Santa Fe. We've got almost 300,000 acres burning up there right now.
wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
How much contained now?
It was 27% yesterday. I don't know what it is now.
Jeez, wow.
They got an army of people on it. It must be like 5,000 people and about everything they can fly. And
Wow. We've had a couple of 300,000 acre ones in San Diego, but that was 350,000, we had two of them. And that was just disastrous, but they stopped there. I can't imagine if you're only 27% contained.
Yeah.
Cow.
and it was started, believe it or not, by a prescribed burn that got away.
Oh, gee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you ought to hear the
Yes.
governor. She's all upset.
Ah,
little gust of wind is all it takes sometimes.
That's it.
somebody lost their job. Go on. Wow. Okay. Well, maybe we should wrap it up. We just have 1 hour and go off
Yeah,
to our
good
corner.
meeting.
Good meeting. Next week will be the one with the professor, I think, right, Russ?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
On possible, if we can get, particularly we can get the method going with the photo center, we might, he's interested in neutron stars and stellar black hole companions. And Rick came up with a list of how many potential red dwarf, white dwarfs, Rick?
I think there was 8.
Yeah. And so we're going to try observing them. And so, even if we don't make neutron stars or black holes, it sure, a photocenter works, we may be able to discover a whole bunch of red dwarf, white dwarf pairs that just have too large a magnitude difference for anyone to have picked up in the past.
Okay. Cool. All right.
I think there were a couple of them that were in the WDS, but they only had one observation.
Uh-huh.
That kind of speaks to how difficult they are to observe because one's blue, one's red, and they're both, the brightest one is like 14th magnitude. So
Wow.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether the telescopes, the automated system can pick them up and observe the coordinates, even if it can't find a star there with a short exposure.
So when I was up at visiting the folks at Lowell Observatory, so they've been using the 1 meter telescope there every month, making observations of selected fields for photocenter. So we're going to have this nice database from Gerard Van Bell shortly, and we'll get some sharp student to analyze it, and then we can cross that with the kind of red dwarf, white dwarf pairs. We can see how well we can do, and then that'll give us some idea of how, if this all worked or not.
What kind of accuracy do they think that they get for the photocenters?
Well, that's the problem. We don't know. So Scott, you found that, over a night or two, it was pretty high precision, but then over a few months, it went to pot. And so now we'll have the 1 meter observations for a year where they didn't touch anything.
Mhm.
So that'll give us maybe some
Yeah.
idea for precision.
Yeah,
How did you pick the red dwarf, white dwarfs, Rick?
Just from the GDS search program.
Okay.
And then the requirement I gave it was that they had to have both the red and blue so you could get a color index.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. But then with DR3, you're going to get
Yeah, there may be
that'll
lots
be
of
a
room.
lot. There'll be a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I think stars that have, the primary has data, but the secondary doesn't. They may
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
that kind of star or just another faint, red star.
yeah. Right, Tom. Looks like we're wrapping up.
Yeah, things are dropping off here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, see you guys.
you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, bye. Everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.